Friday evening, a pen touches paper in Washington, and suddenly the cost of bringing brilliant minds to America doesn't just increase, it explodes. From maybe $5,000 to $100,000. Overnight. Literally overnight. What you're about to witness isn't just a policy change. It's the moment the American dream became a luxury good that only the richest could afford. $2,000, $5,000. These were the numbers that had governed high-skilled immigration for years. The H-1B visa fees that brought the world's brightest engineers, doctors, and innovators to American shores. Reasonable numbers, accessible numbers. Numbers that said America welcomed talent from anywhere if you had the skills. But then came that Friday signature, and by Sunday midnight, those numbers became ancient history. $100,000. Not gradually phased in, not carefully implemented. 48 hours. That's all the time the entire tech industry had to figure out what this meant. 48 hours to rewrite the rules of global talent. Picture the scene. Urgent internal memos flying through Amazon, Microsoft, Google. Get back now. Don't wait. Thousands of families suddenly facing an impossible choice. Rush back to America before the deadline hits or pay the equivalent of a house down payment just to return to their jobs. The airports filled with desperate travelers, all racing against a clock that would change their lives forever. But here's where it gets legally fascinating and terrifying. Presidential power has limits, even in immigration. Congress controls the core visa rules, but the president controls who crosses the border. And that distinction, that thin legal line between policy and enforcement, became a financial chasm that swallowed dreams whole. The rules were cruel in their precision. If you were already inside America, you were mostly safe. If your paperwork was already filed, you were grandfathered in. But if you were physically standing anywhere else in the world when that clock struck midnight, welcome to the new reality. Your talent just became 20 times more expensive. India's Ministry of External Affairs called it what it was, a humanitarian crisis disguised as policy. Imagine being stuck overseas, watching your career, your family's future, held hostage by a deadline you never saw coming. The human cost of sudden policy shifts isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's panic at 3 in the morning, desperate calls to lawyers, children asking why they can't go home. But let's talk about the money because the numbers are staggering beyond belief. The top 10 American tech companies alone, $5.3 billion in additional annual costs. Not one-time payments, annual, every single year. Amazon facing nearly $1 billion increase. For what? For the privilege of hiring the best minds in the world. Here's the cruel irony. This policy meant to protect American jobs hits American companies the hardest. US tech giants are the biggest users of H-1B visas, not foreign firms. The weapon aimed at outsiders wounded the very heart of American innovation. It's friendly fire on an economic battlefield. The mathematics become even more brutal when you examine salary ratios. An H-1B worker at a US company might earn $200,000 a year, but at an Indian outsourcing firm, maybe $90,000. Suddenly, that $100,000 fee isn't just expensive, it's nearly doubling the cost of that worker. The economics become impossible. And what happens when economics become impossible? Companies adapt. They don't just accept higher costs, they eliminate them entirely. Why pay $100,000 to bring talent to America when you can move the work to where the talent already lives? Offshoring isn't just an option anymore, it's a financial necessity. The economists saw it coming like a slow-motion earthquake. This wasn't protectionism, this was economic suicide. By making global talent prohibitively expensive, America wasn't protecting jobs, it was exporting them. The very innovation that built Silicon Valley was being priced out of Silicon Valley. Indian companies had been preparing for this moment for years, diversifying their workforce, reducing visa dependence from 30% to 24%. When the shock came, they were ready. They had local teams, established operations, and now a massive competitive advantage over their American rivals who suddenly couldn't afford global talent. But perhaps the most profound change isn't in corporate boardrooms. It's in the dreams of individual brilliance scattered across the globe. For decades, the calculation was simple: get the skills, get to America, get the green card. The American dream had a clear pathway, even if the green card backlog was a long one. Now that calculation is broken. Why endure years of uncertainty, visa restrictions, and astronomical fees when opportunities back home are not just available but arguably better? The brain drain that once flowed towards America is reversing, becoming a brain gain that strengthens competitors and weakens the very nation that created the modern tech economy. This is the Ghar Wapsi moment, the return home, but not driven by nationalism or nostalgia. It's driven by mathematics, by opportunity, by the simple recognition that the American dream might no longer be worth the American cost. Talent doesn't wait for policymakers to change their minds, they create their own pathways. India's transformation from service provider to innovation powerhouse didn't happen by accident. It was built on the foundation of that original brain drain. Talented Indians who went to America, learnt in Silicon Valley, and then brought that knowledge back home. Now, with artificial barriers blocking that flow, the knowledge stays home from the beginning. The historical irony is breathtaking. The same H-1B program that once helped create India's massive tech talent pool by incentivizing skills development is now, through its restriction, accelerating India's emergence as America's primary competitor in the global innovation race. The student is becoming the master not through conquest but through policy miscalculation. For the first time in decades, experts are calculating what they call a positive utility premium for staying in India rather than migrating to America. The land of opportunity is no longer offering the best opportunities. The global talent market, which revolved around American gravity for 50 years, is finding new centers of attraction. So here we are, witnessing the end of an era disguised as a visa fee increase. That Friday signature didn't just change immigration policy, it rewrote the fundamental equation of global talent. America spent decades building the world's most powerful magnet for brilliance, and then, in 48 hours, decided to reverse the polarity. The question isn't whether this will change the future of innovation. The question is whether America will still be at the center of that future. Sometimes, the most consequential changes come not through grand strategies or careful planning, but through the unintended consequences of a single signature on a Friday evening. And sometimes, those consequences can't be undone. That's all for today on UPSC Wise. If you found this video helpful, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to grab the PDF notes on my Telegram, link in the description. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving closer to your IS dream. Jai Hind.